This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
This is the Dragon's Lair, in association with the Riverside Sports Bar Newport, an American-style bar with a proper Welsh feel.
Hello and welcome to the Dragon's Lair podcast. I'm Jamie and joining me as always is my co-host Gavin Thomas. How are we doing, Gav?
I'm very well, Jamie, very well. Leaping into Christmas, well, almost literally. So, minis rugby today. We played fun games with the kids, played a bit of touch. Me and one of the other coach on opposite sides. He's gone for an ass splash. I'm thinking I'm not allowing that, so I'm trying to catch him mid-air. I managed to miss him, go over his legs and face plant and flip right over in front of about 20 kids and their parents. And I don't think I've ever heard so much laughter in my life.
I'd love to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen that. Oh, brilliant. This is a special podcast for two reasons. First of all, this is our 50th episode. Can you believe it?
Really? Wow.
It is, yeah. We've actually made 50 episodes of this podcast. It's hard to believe, but we have. We've reached 50. And there's another special reason as well, Gav. It's a victory pod. Ooh, ooh, we actually won a game. We won a game.
And away.
I know. And that's as real as hen's teeth, isn't it? Fair play. So it's a good day. It's going to be a good pod. I'm going to enjoy this. Oh, brilliant. Right. Okay. Let's get straight to it, Gav. Let's start with some news, shall we? Dragons have signed Tongan prop Paula Latu on an initial short-term deal because of injuries to Leon Brown and Luke Yendall. So unfortunately, Gav, it's more bad news for Leon Brown. He's had neck surgery and he faces yet another spell on the sidelines. Well, Luke Yendall went under the knife because of a knee injury. I mean, it's hard to know what to say anymore about Leon, isn't it, Gav? I mean, we're big fans of him on this pod, but every single season now, this is happening, and it's just, I don't know what to say anymore. He's always going to be blighted by injury for the rest of his career, isn't he? And it's sad to say that, but that's how it looks.
It's always neck as well, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, I think he needs to sit down and think about what the future looks like for him.
Yeah, and it's sad because when he's fit, he's a very important player for us, and he was very highly regarded by Wales. And don't forget, he was on this program, wasn't he, that was put in place. He was being looked after. He was in conjunction with the WRU. He was going to manage his game time. He's on this special program. But even though he's been on this program, it still hasn't worked. He's still getting injured. He's only made 3 appearances this season. And it's sad. I find it generally sad. I feel like, and I wrote this on X, I feel like he's going to go the same way as Samson Lee. Just constantly blighted by injury for the rest of his career to the point where he'll just go, I'm done now.
Yeah. And you wouldn't blame him, would you?
No.
You know, you wouldn't blame him saying, I've had enough.
No, exactly. And he's on this incentivized deal. So it was a 1-year deal. It'll be interesting to see what the club does from year on in, because do they just keep giving him these incentivized deal every season in the hope that he'll eventually get a run of games and stay fit, or do they make the decision they don't want to make and say, sorry, Leon, but we feel that we have to move on now. It'll be really interesting to see what.
Or does he make a decision and say that's it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I said, I find it quite sad, quite frustrating. he gets a lot of stick from fans for being injured, but I just say to him, well, imagine how Leon feels. Well, you
Yeah,
think he wants to go through this every season? He's probably more frustrated and upset than the rest of us, you know? So it's a shame. It's a real shame. But yeah, we brought in Olalato. So he's actually a loose head by trade who can play tight head. He's not an out and out tight head. Um, but he did play today up in Newcastle. We'll talk about that later. Looked all right. Looked very good in the loose.
yes,
Scrum time, not so much, but you know,
yeah.
we'll
I,
talk about that a bit later.
yeah, well, it wasn't a real good test of the scrummage anyway today, was it?
No, no, but like I said, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, the Dragons have moved quick to bring in a new prop after injuries to Leon and Luke Yendo. So speedy recovery to those guys. And then in other news, it won't surprise you to know that Tame Basham is a man in demand. So Rugby Pass are reporting that Northampton Saints, Sale Sharks, and Bristol Bears are all interested in signing Tame Basham. And apparently some Welsh regions have also been put on alert. Basham signed a 1 year deal last season. It was only 1 year, remember? And he currently has 17 caps for Wales. So if he does move to an English club, he's not getting picked for
No,
Wales at the moment, is he? He's not really in the mix. He wouldn't be eligible to play for Wales. And like I said, he's got guys like Jack Morgan and Tommy Reffel ahead of him. So how do you feel about this news then, Tame? It happens all the time, doesn't it? Every time he's near the end of his contract, it was Saracens. Do you remember Saracens were always chasing after Tame Bashan? So it just seems like, he's in demand yet again.
if you had a choice, particularly of teams like Northampton or Bristol, where you could, I suppose it's about him deciding what he wants. Does he want to be a big fish in a small pond where he knows he's going to get plenty of rugby? Or does he want to go into a far more competitive situation where he'll have to fight to get regular rugby, but will be in a winning team?
Hmm. I mean, it is worth mentioning last week he talked about his pride of being a Gwent boy, and when he brought up that milestone of, I can't remember how many appearances it was for the Dragons, but he is proud to be from Gwent. He's proud to play for the Dragons, but it just feels to me that every time he's out of contract or coming to the end of this, we always get the speculation. There's always English clubs just chasing him. I'm not surprised. He's a quality player, but
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see whether he will stay or whether he will go, because he does have a big decision to make, doesn't he? If he's not getting picked for Wales, then the 25 cap loads, he probably ain't going to be bothered by that too much if he's not
no,
in the picture, is he?
no.
So,
And
yeah,
he'll earn considerably more going to Saints or to Sharks or whoever than if he stays in with us. And I'm sure he's probably one of our best
yeah,
paid players.
yeah. But he is a quality player, Gav, and we need quality players. So, I mean, I would like him to stay, but the ball's in his court. Maybe he wants a new challenge. I don't know. But one thing I don't want him to, I don't want him leaving for another Welsh region. I'd rather he went to England. I don't want to see him playing for
Uh,
Cardiff or Scarlets. That would be really disappointing.
I don't think he'd do it though, because they can't really offer him much more than we can.
Maybe a few more wins, but that's about it, I think.
Not many more. I know Cardiff and Scarlets are having a better season, but
Mm,
they're not winning anything, are they? Well, if you went to Northampton Saints, you could win things. If you
yeah.
went to Bristol, you could win things.
Mm. And it could potentially make him a better player. I
Yeah.
read Dan Bigger saying playing in the Premiership made him a better player playing outside of Wales. But the thing is, I'm in two minds. On the one hand, I'd be like, I understand why you're leaving. I get it. It makes sense. But on the other hand, it's like, no, I want you to stay at the Dragons because we need you. You're such a
Yeah.
good player, Tane. So, yeah, decision time for Tane.
But I think those two things are, whilst they're like kind of incompatible on the surface, in reality, they're not, are they? Because we're Dragons fans, yes, and we like our players and we want our players to do well. So I don't think it's mutually exclusive, wanting both things really, or being okay with both things.
No, no, it's one to keep an eye on. But like I said, hopefully he will stay. But if he does go, you'll have my blessing, because I think he's been
Yeah,
terrific for the
100%.
Dragons. The same, I was convinced Dan Wainwright was going to leave when his contract was expired. And fair play, he stayed for another 2 years. And I still got this feeling he is going to leave us at some point, maybe
He
when his
will.
current contract ends. And that's one player where you look out and go, yeah, you deserve some success now. I know
Well,
we did give him his debut. We gave him opportunities, but that is a guy that does deserve to be playing
I think
in
Wainwright
a
will go to
winning team.
France.
He'd be great in France.
Yeah, that just suit his game.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was excellent today, but we will
He was
talk about
superb.
that. He
Yeah.
really was a hell of a player. But yeah, that's the news. Let's move on to it then. Oh, how good does this feel now? Talking about a win. 'Cause it's been a long time. That win over the Ospreys in week 1 of the URC feels like a lifetime ago now, Gav, doesn't it?
It
It feels
does.
like a very long time ago. But today, the Dragons were away to Newcastle and they won 14-22. Yes, the Dragons won. Dragons' first win under interim head coach Philo Tiatia. Our last away win was I'm thinking it was, well, we didn't win a single away game last year, did we?
No.
So it must have been, I'm thinking it was the Scarlets back in April 2022. But
Yes.
don't quote me on that, but that's what I'm thinking.
No, that's right. I said today, I said to Rihanna and Garth Jones, who've been on the pod, that I think it was our first away win in 2.5 years.
Yeah. Which tells its own story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does. But we won. And we talked last week on the pod. We knew it was a must-win game. We said if we had any hope of progressing in this competition, we had to win. We simply had to win. And we did. And it was well deserved. Now, Gav, you didn't watch it, did you? You listened to this game on BBC Radio Newcastle, didn't you?
I did.
So I'm interested to get your take on the game, having listened to it on the radio. So we went up there, we got the job done. We're third in the pool. Happy days, Gav. What was your take on the game, having listened to it on the radio?
So clearly, I can't see what's happening. It also didn't help that the two commentators kept referring to us as Newport Gwent Dragons or Newport, and they knew who any of our players were. And
Oh, really?
and at one point, when Martinez scores the first try, they thought the winger had scored the try.
Oh, gosh.
Uh, and yeah, it was quite difficult to work out what was going on, but you got a real sense of, because the one guy was a former referee and he kept saying, "Oh, that's 14 phases now for the Dragons. That's 15 phases for the Dragons." So got a real sense of them holding on to the ball, of making better decisions. Now, I'd like I say, I didn't see it, but they kept talking about the wind. And they said the wind was quite strong, and particularly in the first half, Dragons
Mm,
were playing with the wind behind them.
right.
But I don't know if that was the case or not. So you got, but what came across to me was it was just really organized, and what they talked about. They said at the start of the game, they said, well, this is going to come down to back rows. Whichever back row nullifies the other will allow their backs into the game.
Yeah.
And they kept talking about the strength of Ryan Woodman, of Lydiate, and of Wayno.
Mm,
And like at the end or towards the end of it, and this is BBC Radio Newcastle, so it's one-eyed. And
of
they,
course, yeah.
but they both said like, absolutely, Dragons were the better team. Wainwright best player on the field.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. So I watched the game. I didn't pay for it. It came out of the budget. So that's the first bit of good news. I did not pay to watch it, but if I had paid, I would have been quite happy because we
Yeah.
won. But yes, I watched it on EPCR TV. My thoughts were, well, so these are the bullet points I wrote down. Aaron Wainwright was outstanding.
Yeah.
That was Aaron Wainwright today, back to his best. He carried like an absolute demon. He was at the heart of everything the Dragons did. And that's the Wayno that we know and love, isn't it? When he gets his hands on the ball and he's making those runs, those breaks. He was superb, Gav. It was a real pleasure to see him back to his best.
Now, another thing they talked about on the radio was the fact that the Dragons went to him nearly every time in the line-out.
Yeah.
Newcastle couldn't really cope with him.
No.
And then when he scored his try, that was from that line-out move. I didn't see it, but I can imagine it already. He's thrown it down at an angle. Roddy's come in on the angle, and then he's just there in support.
It was a superb performance. by Aaron. And we talked about before, since he's come back from injury, he hasn't been bad, but he's never looked fully fit to me. Even for Wales, he didn't look 100%. And I said that to you, didn't I, on this pod? But I thought he was outstanding today. That was the Wainwright that we all know, and that's what we expect from him. I thought he was brilliant. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it is true. The Dragons had a dominant scrum. I will repeat that. The Dragons had a dominant scrum for 62 minutes anyway, before front row replacements were made. And then it wasn't so good. But it's very rare to see a Dragon scrum on top. It was good. We won scrum penalties.
When we got a scrum penalty, and you sent me that message saying we got a scrum penalty.
I know, yeah. I'm shocked. It's like we won a scrum penalty. And we shunted them back on a few occasions, mind. We really did. And I will give credit where it's due, Gav, as you know, right? Fair play. Chris Coleman had a very good game. Chris Coleman, I've never been too hot on Chris. I'll be honest about that.
We've been critical of him. We both have.
But to be fair, he had a very good game in the scrum and in the loose. He carried well. Our front row did really, really well. And it was nice to see a dominant Dragon scrum, because that's something we're just not used to seeing. Mind you, when those front row replacements were made, it wasn't so good then. No. We went early a couple of times, and that's always frustrating when the scrum goes too early. But it was nice to see. It was very un-Dragons-like to see a scrum on top.
According to the guys on BBC Radio Newcastle, we were going early every time.
That's bollocks, that is. Yeah. That's not true. That's the one-eyed commentary see, that is. Yeah. The commentator I had on the stream, he was an Irish guy. Now, I don't know his name. He sounds familiar. He's the guy that always does like the highlights. When you see the highlights on social media, it's always that Irish guy, but I can't remember his name. He's pretty dull, to be honest. But what I will say is fair play. He knew all the players' names, which wasn't the case, Gav, as you messaged me. Because didn't he say, didn't they think it was Lydiate that was knocked out? But it was actually George.
Yeah, they were trying to work out who it was. Well, is it Lydiate? No, he's there. They clearly had no idea who George Knott was.
No. He knew all the players' names, and he even said when Nick Thomas came on, he even said from Newport RFC. So fair play. This guy, he did his research.
Bit of research. Yeah,
and I appreciate that. Like I said, he wasn't the most exciting or the engaging commentator, but he knew the players' names and he did his research. So fair play to him for that. There's a reason why Hugh Anderson was invited to train for Wales. It's because he's very bloody good. How good was Hugh Anderson at fullback today, Gav? I mean, I know you couldn't see it, but tell me what it was like listening to him on the radio.
He got man of the match in the game.
Right.
The announcer, not the radio station, but he got man of the match because I heard that being announced over the commentary. And it just sounded like he just fielded everything. Difficult, windy conditions. He's really solid in defence. But what really struck me, because they kept shouting his name, the young man Anderson's off again. Whenever he got the ball, he just gave us a bit of go forward. He was looking for space. He was running. And, it's the can't win it thing, isn't it? Like a young bloke who just feels really assured under a ball and can deal with it, and took the try really well, because that sounded like I'm just sat there listening to it because I'm meant to be working, hence I was listening to radio, thinking, oh God, here we go, this is where it turns round. And then all of a sudden we've gone 75 metres and scored a try. Well, was there a good try?
So what happened was, it's the kind of thing that we would do. Because I said to you when I texted you, Newcastle and Dragons are very similar teams.
Yes.
Not just the fact that they don't win many games, but the style of play, very adventurous, like to move the ball around, not a strong pack. But when they make mistakes, it proves very costly. And that's happened to us a number of occasions. So it was their fullback who made a searing run, and fair play was a really good line break. He gives a pass, but unfortunately the pass gets knocked on by one of their players. Hugh Anderson picks it up and he runs it from like 70 odd meters. The speed, Gav, he is quick. He is really quick. He's rapid. He almost got caught, mind. He did very nearly
get caught up with him, didn't he? Yeah.
He very nearly got caught, but fair play. He showed great gas, and he's just got his footwork is impressive. He made a number of really good line breaks. He looked dangerous every time he had the ball.
That's one of the things that came
Yeah,
across to me because three things came across to me during the game. I'm not seeing it, I'm hearing it. Patience. One of the
yeah,
commentators kept talking about the number of phases we had. We weren't forcing it. Second thing is having attacking sense, looking for gaps, running into space. We seem to do that regularly as well. And then the
yeah.
third thing was decision making.
Yes.
Just about kind of knowing when to go for it and knowing when not to go for it.
Something what we talked about on the pod about when we get into the opposition 22, when we get into that red zone, as people call it now, there's been a lack of clarity
Yeah,
and poor decision making and not getting over the line. Whereas this week, it kind of we knew exactly what we had to do, and we were patient. We didn't try and force it. We didn't do silly stuff. That's what pleased me. It was a complete contrast actually from last week of Montpellier and previous games. It was like I said, it was undragons like for us to be so patient and clinical. Because I think that was the
yeah,
difference today. Unlike last week against Montpellier, we were clinical.
yeah. Maybe Philo does listen to the pod. I didn't think he did when he made so many changes. But
No, but I still think, because I spoke to you about this, so there was a lot of supporters who were unhappy about the selections that Velo has made in this
yeah,
competition. Now, you said that we should have gone stronger in the first game at home against Montpellier, didn't you?
hmm
And my thought at the time was, well, it was a 6-day turnaround, but I kind of understand why they've done it. But you were right. We should have gone stronger because had we won that, and we won today, we're in a very good position now in the pool. We're still in a good position, mind. Five
yeah,
points. We're still in a good position, but it could have been better, couldn't it? And it was a
yeah.
gamble today, mind. He did. I think he made like 9 changes, something
hmm
like that. So it was a guy. It was a big gamble today, and it was
And
full of
and I
kids.
think some of them paid off. Like Ryan Woodman had a great game. Hugh Anderson had a good game. I don't think Shea Hope had a great game, and we were better when Rodri came on.
I think Shea Hope had a sticky start, but he got better as the game grew on.
Yeah,
With Rodri, he's a safety blanket, isn't he? He's that comfy pair of slippers. So when he come on, you just knew it was going to get better, and it did get better when Rodri come on. It was really important that we had him on the bench, and maybe not Black, and no disrespect to Dane, but I think we needed Rodri there. It was
yeah.
really important just for that leadership and experience. But
Yeah, and Angus had a solid game of 10, it appears, like
yeah,
kind
he
of,
did. Couple of kicks that went dead. He's got
yeah,
such a big boot that sometimes it just goes
yeah.
up the upper end and goes dead, doesn't it? So, but yeah, he was absolutely fine. What other takeaways for me? Nick Thomas, mentioned him earlier. So the young lock from Newport RFC. So he replaced Steve Cummins after 25 minutes, which I think was a HIA.
Yes, that's what they said on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a HIA. That's what I thought. Cummins has not had much luck since he's joined us. It's been
No.
injury after injury. When he has played, he gets injuries. 25 minutes he lasted this week. So Nick Thomas came on. I thought he was really good. Solid around the park and at set piece. And he made a huge turnover on 72 minutes. This was so crucial. We were under the pump. So Newcastle were throwing everything at us in those last 10 minutes. And there were times where they were cutting us open. You know, their attack was pretty good. Radwan in particular, he is a
Yeah,
very
good
good
player.
player. He's a
Yeah.
very good, very underrated player. He was causing the Dragons all sorts of problems. They made a line breakthrough. And fair play to Nick Thomas. He dives in it and he wins a turnover. And I'm telling you, Gav, if he didn't win that turnover, Newcastle would have scored. It was a massive moment, especially at a critical time, 72 minutes, when we were really under the
They,
pump.
they said that on the radio. They said basically that's won the game for Dragons, the one guy
Yeah.
said. He said, but we did lose a lot of ball on the floor, didn't we? I know our back rows had a good game in terms of the physicality, but we're still not always holding on to the ball on the ground.
Yeah, so that's one of the negatives, I think. I don't want to be picky after a win because we really get
No,
a win. And, I
no.
don't want to be that guy who's still going to be, I don't want to be like Craig Rever-Horwood over Strictly, right? Constantly picking up on the negatives, right? Even though it's a really good dance. But, however, we did lose the breakdown battle again today. And it happened last week. We haven't got anyone in the back row. Without Keddy, we haven't got anyone to steal ball. We haven't got any pilfers or anyone to just get in there
No,
and pinch ball. And that's a problem. So I'm hoping Keddy will be available for the derbies. But yeah, we did get beaten at the breakdown in this game, but it didn't matter because we won. We did turn over a couple of times, but not anywhere near enough. Newcastle definitely had more success in that area of the game than we did.
it was 6-2 apparently.
Yeah, well, that tells its own story, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a concern going into the derbies, but that's when we need the likes of Keddy fit. A word for Dan Lydiate. So this was his 100th appearance for the Dragons, 36 years old, and he played a full 80 minutes. And do you know what, Gav? He was really, really good. It was Dan Lydiate-esque. It was like rolling back the years. Really good performance. We needed him last week. Why didn't he play against Montpellier? He was fit. Why wasn't he there?
There's one point someone's made a break, and the guy's going, and such through. Oh, Lydia's there. That's the end of that run.
He put in a crunching tackle on one of their players as well. He picked him up and shunted it. It was Dan Lydiate from like 2012. He was so, so good. Really enjoyed it. He had a great game. Credit to the youngsters, because Tia, he has gambled. He's put in a lot of youngsters for this game, and they all did well. Every single one of them did well. Shea Hope, I mentioned earlier, tricky start, yes, but he did get better as the game went on. Evan Minto came off the bench. He was pretty good. Nick Thomas, as I mentioned earlier. Ewan Rosser, Joe Westwood. Of course, Hugh Anderson was superb. I tell you who else I was really impressed with as well was Ollie Andrew. So he's the young Newport IFC wing. He looked very lively. He was really good. He very nearly scored a try, but it was a brilliant tackle by
Yes.
Adam Randwan. He just had his foot in touch. Again, who made the break? Alan Wainwright. Wainwright put him in, and he was so close to getting his try. But no, fair play to Adam Randwan. He just put him off enough, and his foot went into touch. But I thought he was really impressive. We have got good, talented youngsters at the Dragons, have we? And they're never going to be hyped up like the Cardiff boys are.
No.
But we have got talent here. And that's the one thing that
Yeah.
I took coming out of this game that we
Harry Ackerman came back from injury for Newport RFC this weekend as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And it bodes well for the future, isn't it? This is what we want. We want youngsters stepping up, grabbing their opportunities and giving the head coach some selection worries, because Hugh Anderson has made a very compelling case now to start against Cardiff at fullback.
Yeah. If you think about our fullback options, I know Kai Evans, he played on the weekend as well, didn't he?
He came off the bench, yeah, he played. He was okay. He was fine. Obviously, Jordan Williams was playing for Pontypool on the weekend. So he's playing Super Rugby Cymru. But yeah, I really like the look of this Hugh Anderson. Like I said, it's no surprise that he's getting called up, to train with Wales because he's a talent. He's got great feet. He's rapid. He's pretty good, Gav. There's something about him. I like him a lot. What else? Oh yeah, we should mention George Nott as well. This has put a little bit of a dampener on the win for me. Only a little bit, but it is, a bit of a shame. So George Nott was knocked out cold in the 64th minute. So they did review it on the TMO. There was no foul play. It was just bad tackle technique, and that's what the referee did say. He said it's bad tech. Those were his words. Bad technique. So
he got his head in the wrong place, didn't he?
Exactly.
And just got hit by a knee. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, Bigger used to do that a lot, didn't he? Remember Dan Bigger always used to get his head in the wrong place. Like he put the tackles in, but there were a couple of occasions he knocked himself out to put in a tackle. That's what happened, and yeah, he's okay though. Apparently, the Dragons did put out on social media that he's up and about in the changing room, so that's really good. We wish him well. It looked very nasty.
Yes.
It looked really, really nasty. But no, he's fine. He looks like he's going to be fine. But it's just a really important win, this, Gav, wasn't it? Because let's not forget, mind, Newcastle, like there are some snarky people who look at this and go, oh, well, it's only Newcastle. But to be fair, number one, I think that's a bit disrespectful because I think Steve Diamond has turned them around. And I think they're a lot more competitive now. And they've got really good players. Callum Chick, Adam Radwan, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
But this was a Newcastle team that won their last 4 games at home in all competitions.
I was going to say they not lost at home for a while, had they?
No, so their last 4 games at home, including Premiership Rugby Cup and the English Premiership, they've won their last 4 games. Bear in mind they beat Exeter and Saracens, during that time in the English Premiership. This is a big deal. This feels like a big deal. For us, we desperately needed a win. Very poor on the road. We were massive underdogs going into this for me. And I was reading Steve Diamond's comments in the rugby paper this morning. He had targeted this game. He said, we're targeting this game. We want to go far in this competition. He said the campaign gets started now. and we went up, then we got the job done. It's pretty significant, and hopefully it'll be a confidence boost for the team, won't it,
I,
Gav?
I think we played wiser rugby, and I don't think they were expecting us to do that. And I think they struggled, particularly when we just kept it in our hands for long periods of time, which we don't have a current tradition of doing.
Exactly. And there are games where we win where I think we were lucky to win. I think maybe we've been underestimated or the opponent has dropped off in the last few minutes. I still think we were lucky to beat the Ospreys. As much as we enjoyed that win, I thought we were very lucky because Ospreys were the better team for most of it, for most of that game. This week, that game against Newcastle, we were clearly the better team for the
Oh
first
yeah.
to the last. We were the best team. This was no fluke. There was no luck involved. We were in control for a lot of that game. And again, it's very unusual to say this as a Dragons fan, but we
Mm.
deserved it. We bloody well deserved that win. It was really, really impressive. So, what does that mean now in terms of the pools in Europe? So, this is the current standings of Pool 2. Montpellier are top because they battered the Ospreys, unfortunately. Poor old Ospreys. I have to admit, look, I didn't think the Ospreys were going to win in Montpellier. It was a
No.
tough task, and they did have like Funapola back. They had Stuart Hogg. They did bring a few of their first team. It was a stronger squad than the one that came to Newport last week, put it that way. So it was always going to be tough. And Ospreys have got their injuries, but I was not expecting them to put 50 plus points on them. That could be quite damaging for Ospreys.
Yeah.
Power in seconds, they're on 6 points. Dragons are in third. We're in fifth. Sorry, 5 points. We're third on 5 points. 1 point behind Poe. And then the Lions are in fourth because they beat Poe. Ospreys are in fifth with 5 points. Newcastle at the bottom, played two, lost two, 0 points. So they haven't taken any
Mm.
points from their opening two games. So, well, I don't want to say they're out of it, but you would think they would be when they're right,
Yeah.
right up against it.
And it's the top four that qualify, isn't it?
It's the top four of each pool, yeah. So we're in a good position. If we beat Poe in the new year, it's a Sunday game. That's going to be quite significant. I mean, ideally, we need a bonus point win, but we're actually in a decent position now on 5 points.
Yeah.
If had we lost this game, we would have been up shit creek without a paddle, Gav, wouldn't we?
Yeah. And I think hopefully now there'll be a bit more thinking about squads and thinking,
Yeah,
this could be a target for us.
yeah. Because it would have been awful had we lost today, because there would have been no momentum.
No.
It would have been another loss. There'd be more doom and gloom. Because supporters like to see a good cup run. And Dragons have had success in this competition. It's been a while ago now, but we did reach back-to-back semi-finals. We reached a couple of quarterfinals. We have had some success, and it's nice. It's something for supposed to look forward to, isn't it? Especially if you get a home knockout game.
Yeah. We
And it's
like
extra
to.
revenue for the club. That's what people forget. If you get a home knockout tie, that's extra revenue for the club. But we all need money, don't we? All the clubs need
Yeah.
money in Welsh rugby.
Teams like to win as well, don't they? And fans like teams to win. And this is just, if you take it seriously, it's just another opportunity to win.
Yeah, two mix and match teams from tier tier so far, but now I think now is the time we need to see a bit more consistency in selection, Gav, don't we?
Yeah.
That's how I feel now anyway, going into these festive derbies and
Yeah, we need
Europe.
strong sides out in both of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Any further thoughts or comments from that win? That famous
Well,
famous win up in Newcastle. It's not famous at all, but it's good, isn't it?
I'm just hoping this is a starting point now.
Yeah.
This is we start, this is what we'll do. We'll be patient in attack. We'll take opportunities. We'll look to break the line more. Just have a bit of something about us.
You would hope it's gonna kickstart our season and give us a bit of confidence.
Yes.
Like I said, no. So we got these festive derbies. Cardiff at home on Boxing Day, and then we got the Scarlets away on New Year's Day. How do you feel now going into those derbies on the back of a
Oh,
win?
look, it's still going to be a big ask because both sides are in decent form, aren't they? And
They
Scarlets
are.
won today
They
against
did, yeah.
Black Lion. Yeah,
They weren't really at their best, but they don't matter. They won.
bonus point win.
I didn't see the Cardiff game against Cheetahs again. They only came alive in the second half. I think they struggled in the first. But
Yeah,
our record against Cardiff is terrible, as we all know.
yes,
Like Gav said on the pod last week, we beat ourselves rather than
yeah,
Cardiff beating us. It's a mindset issue. So until we overcome that mental block, then we're not going to beat them. But we at least we go into these festive derbies on the back of a win, bit of
yeah.
momentum, bit of confidence. That's what we needed. If we went into these on the back of another defeat, it kind of feels a bit doom and gloom then, doesn't it? And then after those festive derbies is that European game against Po on the Sunday, which
Yeah.
is a must win because if you win now, we're in a decent position to get out of this pool. So today was Sunday as we're recording this. It's a big win. It's a big win. It feels like a big deal for us, this win. It really
No,
does.
and I think any win's a big win for us at the minute. So we've done 50 pods, you said.
This is our
So
50th, yeah.
yeah, and we've had 5 wins.
Yeah. Is it actually 5 wins? You've counted them, Ew.
2 this season, 3 last season, weren't there?
Uh, did we win any European games? How many league games did we win last season? Was it 2 or 3? I thought it was 3, wasn't it? Was
We
it 3?
beat
We
we
beat
beat
Oyonnax there in
oh,
the league in
in the
Europe. So it'd
cup,
be 4. We won 4 last season.
4 games, so
Same amount as
6.
Cardiff, as we like saying on this pod. We won the
Yeah,
same amount of games as Cardiff all
yeah,
season. Yeah.
yeah. We beat Zebra, then we beat Scarlet.
It's not been many at all, is it?
No,
It's really, and it's been nice to have those sort of interviews with other people, ex-players, just to take our minds off it and talk about
yes,
something else. Because when you talk about defeats every week, trust us, guys, it gets very draining and very depressing, especially when you have to keep repeating yourself when we keep making the same mistakes and the same problems. But it's just nice to be talking about a win. It feels good. I bet Leinster podcast don't have this feeling when they win because it's normal for them, isn't it? When they win, it's like, yeah, we won again.
but
But
I
when we
think,
win, it feels like, yes, come on, get in. It feels
but
like a
like
big deal.
the Leinster podcast, Munster podcast, I think they struggle with defeat more.
They do. You're right. They can't handle defeat because they're not used to it, and then that's when
Yeah.
the excuses come out and the bitterness as well.
Yes, same with South African fans on Twitter and stuff, and
They don't take defeat very well
not
at
not
all, do they?
brilliantly, no. But we,
We're used to it, so we're fine with it. We're used
well,
to
yeah,
it.
we're a bit more attuned to how to manage defeat.
I still think we're pretty balanced though, us pair.
Hmm. Yeah.
Even
Hmm.
though we are Dragons fans, we see it from a Dragons lens. I still think we are pretty balanced. Like if the opposition would be much better than us, and we always say so, don't we? We don't try and make excuses.
Well, I think what we both do, without wanting to blow smoke up our own rear ends, but I think what we both do is both really enjoy rugby, but also are realistic, and we're not making hyperbolic statements about anyone. You know, we're just talking about rugby as we see it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But it is nice to be talking about wins. And sadly we don't do it enough. And
No,
it's not down to us. That's down to the players and the coaches there. But
yeah, we don't decide on the results, do we?
no. But when we do victory pods, it's nice. It's a
Yeah.
nice feeling, and I want more of it. I want more like this.
Imagine if we have another 2 wins between I know we're not planning to do any over Christmas, but
No, we're not.
imagine,
Just to be
imagine,
clear, though.
yeah, but then we weren't going to do any over the summer either, Jamie. But we know
No,
how
I
that
know.
went.
Yeah, it's true.
But but just imagine how we'll feel if we get another 2 wins.
Yeah, yeah. It's just nice. So, yeah, it's a victory pod. I'm happy. I was dreading recording this. Before the game, I was thinking, oh God, it's gonna be another defeat, another missed opportunity. It's gonna be doom and gloom to end the new year on. But we ended on the positive, and that's great. That's really, really good. It's great for us. It's great for the listeners as well. Okay, so that's that done then. Dragons getting the job done up in Newcastle. Well done to them. Okay then, Gav, it's time for your Gwent rugby roundup. What's the latest?
So not lots of rugby this weekend, but a fair amount. And if we start in the SRC, where Ebervale now go top
Oh, what a
after
win against
after
Cardiff as
a
well. Brilliant.
32-20 win
Yeah,
at the Sinners Stadium at Eugene Cross Park. An excellent win.
absolutely.
Puts them top now.
Yeah.
and a bit of a space between them and Cardiff. Newport, also a good win for them. They're in third place, 33-28 winners over Swansea.
Hmm.
And Gwent Grand Slam of victories in there. So Pontypool won 58-25 against Bridgend, and
Excellent.
that places them in fifth.
Going well, isn't it? The Gwent clubs in Super Rugby Company.
Yeah.
Fair play. It's good. It's good to see. Brilliant win for Ebbw And also, as you said earlier, Harry Ackerman back on the field after a
Yeah.
horrific leg break they suffered for Wales under 20. So good. So good to see him back.
Yeah. Played for Newport this weekend.
Yeah. Good. Lovely
So
stuff.
yeah, an excellent weekend for the Gwent sides. Then in a more varied picture in the Premiership, where Cross Keys won at home, 30 points to 24. But Newbridge unfortunately lost 33-7 at home against Merthyr. Into the Championship, Penalta won 47-15 against Cambrian Welfare. And Annisty, your boys, they beat Brimwell 13-6.
Good stuff. Sounds like a low quality game, but it's a
Yeah.
win.
Yeah,
Win's a
yeah,
win.
no, not one for the fans of running rugby, I imagine.
No.
Uh, Division 1, the Posh Towns Derby, Abergavenny 5, Monmouth 5. Also, doesn't sound a great game.
Nope.
Newport High School Old Boys versus Pontypool United was postponed into Division 2 for the Goldie Looking Chain Derby. Cumbran 29, Croeso 26. Only a derby because they've named both those places in songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Newport boys at heart, but or our Newport boys, but yes, Cumbran and Croeso turn up in their songs. Cardiff 15, Blaenau 33, good win away for Blaenau. Then into Division 3, Nantiglow and New Panteg, a 16-old draw. Oakdale 23, Fleur de Lis 45. That sounds a better game.
Mm. Yeah.
Into Division 4, Pont and Fife, unfortunately, they've found it difficult to step up and they lost 57-0 away to Bedwellty. And Betos beat Whitehead 24-21. Into Division 5, Holybush 36-0 defeat at home against Derry. And Mago lost 23-26 at home to Hartridge. And then into Division 6A, Neutradiga versus Cumcarn was postponed. And Old Tillerians 10, Briniffle 9. And in Division 6B, St. Julian's High School Old Boys away game to Whitchurch was also postponed.
All right. Okay. Friend of the pod, Paul Turner, his Ampthill team played Hartbury on Saturday. Did you hear what happened?
No.
So the game was abandoned in the 28th minute. You haven't heard this at all. You don't know why it was abandoned.
No.
It was abandoned because the referee, Alex Thomas, was knocked out cold when he was struck by a clearance kick from Hartbury's
Wow.
fly half. So they had to abandon the game.
Mm.
So I saw this news and then I thought, because obviously you've been playing grassroots rugby now for a very long time, Gav. Not to make you sound old or feel old.
I
Have you
am
ever
both
seen?
those things.
I didn't want to say that. Have you ever seen anything like that happen on a rugby field?
I have seen a ref have to go off
Yeah.
where he was leaning down to see if someone had grounded a ball. This is when I played at Portsmouth, this was.
Yeah.
And the player was trying to ground the ball, has turned his body, flicked his foot out, and just kicked the referee square in the jaw.
Oh, never.
And the ref's gone back and not really know what is going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of our committee people came on the field and refed the game. But and bizarrely, I thought at one point I was going to have to take my team off this Saturday. The referee was not massively in control of the game, but we knew him, so we kind of knew beforehand we might need to. And I'd spoken to the opposition. We were all trying to be quite sensible. But at one point, when he missed a lad jumping over the top of the rack, landing on my scrum half's neck, and I said, "Sir, if that keeps happening, I'll just take my players off."
Yeah. No, too right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so never seen someone knocked up by a ball, but I've seen a ref go off injured.
Yeah, Hartpuit were winning 14-0 as well when this happened. But yeah,
Oh
he got
God, but
knocked out cold. So all the best to him, by the way. I hope
yeah,
he's okay.
Amtil are struggling, aren't they?
They are, bless him.
It's
Yeah.
no surprise though, because they're a bloody village team and they're up against teams with big budgets.
Did you see the Ealing score?
Or
I
they
think
won
they
92-6, was it? Or
I think it was like 95-7 against
uh,
Cambridge. Like it's silly, isn't
yeah.
it? You shouldn't be seeing scores like that. That's silly.
But Cambridge are kind of a very well organised and very well run, but essentially a grassroots club. And Ealing are a well-funded team. Like Ealing are better funded than we are.
Yeah, it was 95-7 it was. Yeah. I don't like seeing scores like that in any rugby, whether
But
it's
they've
top
got
flight grassroots. I don't like it.
it's professionals, so Cambridge
Yeah.
players will be getting paid, but they won't be getting paid anything near what those Ealing players getting paid. Because Ealing
Mm.
put 90 odd points on Ampthill as well, didn't they?
They did. They did, yeah. But I still think that, well, we've said that Paul Turner's doing a really good job with the resources
Yeah,
that he's got. They're competitive in our league. Yeah, there are occasions where they get absolutely, blown away. But like you said, they're a village team like Jeremy. What do you expect when you
yeah.
come against full-time pros?
They find it harder this season than they have done in previous years.
Yeah,
And they've lost some players to Bedford, who are the big local rivals. And
Bedford Blues. Yeah, I always keep an eye on the Amtil now because obviously Paul's been on the pod and I want him to do well. So I keep a close eye on the results. But yeah, so that's that done. Thank you, Gav. Um, the only thing to say now before we end is obviously we talked about earlier those festive derbies and then Po in Europe. We will be running a ticket giveaway for the Dragons for tickets for Po, which is now a must win. So it'll be good now to get these tickets for somebody because it's a quite important game. Had we lost, it would have been a hard sell to try and get people
yes,
interested in the competition, but we have won. So it's a very important game now, actually. Um, so going into these derbies, then, what are your predictions? How many wins will we get going into Po? Well, you tell me whether we'll beat Cardiff, Scarlets, and Po. How many of those do you think are winnable games?
but they're all winnable. Well, it would
Yeah,
be my view. But I think if we win one, yeah, that'll be okay. If we win two, I'll be
superb.
overjoyed.
Yeah,
And if we win three, I'll be very surprised but exceptionally happy.
it would be nice just to beat Cardiff, wouldn't it? Just for once, get rid of this hoodoo, get rid of this mental block.
Yeah, it's just done then, isn't it? It's no problem.
It's silly though, isn't it? Like losing 20 times in a row to Leinster is well, I don't say acceptable, but it's understandable because it's Leinster, but
I
losing
wouldn't.
20 times to Cardiff just doesn't make sense.
No, I wouldn't expect us to beat Leinster. I do expect us to beat Cardiff occasionally.
Mm. And there is, they have got chinks in their armor. They haven't put in a full 80-minute performance this season,
No,
but they are a very tough team to beat.
I like, clearly the rivalry stuff, but I think Cardiff have got some really good players. My love of Ben Thomas has been mentioned many times on the pod. I
Indeed,
think,
yeah.
I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
I like, kind of, I like them as a side. I think they play good rugby. It's,
They're good with ball in hand. They do
yeah.
play
Oh, they can't
attractive
defend
rugby.
for love nor money, bless them. But
They're easy on the eye, Cardiff, but I do
yeah,
think there's chinks in their armour, and good
oh
teams will
yeah,
expose them as
oh
Glasgow
yeah,
did when they came
because
down and put 50 plus points on them. Edinburgh beat them. They are a beatable team, but we got to stop beating ourselves first.
yeah,
That's
because
the
they
thing.
can't defend.
No,
It's Cardiff worse at defending than us, but they're also a hell of a lot better going forward.
yeah. They got some very dangerous runners, haven't they? And they're very hard. With Cardiff, I feel that when you're on top, you've got to keep your foot on their throat because they'll
Yeah.
come back into it. Like, they could easily score 3 tries in the last 5 minutes to take the game away from you, to turn it on its head. They're that kind of team. They're really sticky and quite annoying. So
Mm,
if we are in a position where we're leading, we got to keep the foot on their throat.
yeah.
We got to keep them
Uh,
under pump because if
and
you
what
switch off, they'll come back at you.
what we have to absolutely do is not get involved in their game.
No,
I would, we've said it both before. We would strangle teams. We aren't interested in pretty rugby. We'd rather just
yeah.
keep them strangled rather than letting them run at us, because that's not a good idea.
No, but that's how we used to be in the old days. We used to drag teams down to our level and strangle them, but we don't seem to be able to do that a lot anymore. But I'm feeling a lot more positive now than I did before. It's amazing what win does, isn't it?
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I have, look, I'm not going to lie, and I've had some listeners' comments about it as well. I have been pretty negative lately, but I think I've had good reason to. I don't think I've been unfair in any way. Maybe I have. Maybe, you could pick up on things. You go, oh, well, maybe he's been a bit harsh there. But those are my opinions. I feel I've had good reason to be
we haven't
unhappy.
looked very, we haven't looked very good. We've looked rudderless. We've said we're
Yeah,
allowed to say it.
yeah, exactly.
This is our opinion.
Yeah, and I still don't think we're a good team at the moment. I
No,
don't. I still think we're far off. And we still got a lot of work to do. But hopefully today is a start. Hopefully now
today
this win over Newcastle, it will give the players a little bit of belief, a little bit of confidence that we can actually go into these games now and believe we can win.
it was a good performance.
That was the main thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good winning performance. So it doesn't matter whether or not we're a good team. We did what we needed to do today.
Yeah, quite right. And how nice to end the last pod of the year on a positive and on a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does make a difference.
Because we both keep the faith and we've kept the faith a long time. But sometimes you need a message from God for you to remain faithful.
Mm,
And we got our message today, which is, yeah, we can win games away.
it's been a tough 12 months for Welsh rugby. Um, I'm not going to lie. For me, it's been joyless. As a
Yeah.
Dragons supporter and a Wales supporter,
hmm
it's been absolutely joyless. We remain to see what happens with Team Wales now, whether Gatland will remain in post. I think he will.
Yeah, so do I.
I can see a situation where he'll remain in post, but they'll get rid of Nigel Walker because there has to be a scapegoat. If
Yeah.
it's not going to be a Gatland, the WRU love a scapegoat, so they're going to make somebody a scapegoat. And Nigel Walker has been coming under a lot of criticism lately, rightly so. So don't be surprised if he goes. He might freshen up his backroom team because that's what happened with New Zealand, wasn't it, with Ian
Yeah.
Foster? Remember they did that review. He didn't get a sack, as everyone thought. He axed his assistants, didn't he? Plumtree and Brad Moore. So maybe we'll see that. I think the Six Nations is going to decide Gatland's fate.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I think that'll be the moment.
If we lose every game, he'll be done.
Well, the thing is, I mean, is that who are they going to beat? Who are we going to beat in the Six Nations? We're away to France the first up. It's tough, isn't it?
England.
Maybe, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think that's a gimme.
And I said that through, like, not really with a
You weren't
huge amount of
confident when you
belief.
said it. No, you weren't
No,
confident.
England.
Italy's not a gimme anymore. They've
No.
improved. They've really improved, and they've beaten us now a couple of times. So
Yeah.
forget about that. It's going to be tough, but I'm intrigued. What will the new year bring? Who will be the new Dragons head coach? No news on our mind. I'm not seeing any speculation about who
No.
could. Yeah, Munster are also looking for a new head coach, and in Rugby Pass all the time, and in like the Irish media, they've always speculated in these interviews. I've seen no speculation or any names in the mix for the Dragons head. Have you seen
No.
anything or heard?
No. 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 No.
I mean, it's a tough gig, isn't it, Gav? It's a really tough gig.
Yeah, but I think if we've just got to spread the net a bit further and find somebody who's hungry, somewhere weird, someone coaching in the second division in France, someone coaching in South Africa who wants a different challenge.
It's not going to be a big name. I don't think we're
No,
going to get a big name.
no, neither do I. We've missed out on the obvious uh, choice for me, which was Mark Jones.
Yeah, he would have been good, wouldn't he? And as much as supporters want to see it, we are not getting Toby Booth in. I would
No,
love to see Toby Booth
well, I
coaching the
would.
Dragons.
I
You not so much, would you?
no,
I love Toby Booth.
he's too vibesy for me.
Oh, I love him. He's a great coach. Yeah,
But at least he does. He's happy to play horrible rugby.
he's the kind of bloke I could go for a pint with, Toby Booth. Honestly, I could go for a chat with him and a pint in the Meringer. and just sit down and chat to her. He's a qualified electrician. Do you know that?
No,
Toby
I
Booth?
do not.
Yeah, he's a qualified electrician before he joined rugby. He just seems like a proper bloke, and he's a good guy. I like
Yeah,
him.
he always comes across all right. He's just a bit Ted Lasso for me.
Yeah.
As much as I love Ted Lasso, but
Hey, he'd be a good coach for the Dragons, wouldn't he? Let's get Ted Lasso in,
well, let's do something like that. Let's find a college American football coach to come in.
I think rugby league. I think I
Yeah,
agree with
I
what you
think
said
rugby
before.
league. Yeah,
Because we had Chris Anderson. Remember Chris Anderson?
yeah.
This is years ago.
World Cup winning rugby league coach Chris Anderson.
And he did a good job. And then the Dragons didn't renew his contract for whatever reason. It was really bizarre, wasn't it? But yeah, I think we got to think outside the box.
What's
haven't we?
out there in rugby league and say, do you want to come and do it? Yeah, why not?
Yeah. You'll probably end up with bloody Sean Holly, will we, or Andy Robertson or so. Oh dear. Who knows? But anyway, let's see
Not
what the new
Holly.
year.
Oh God, if it's Sean Holly, I don't know. I'm just going to claim never to have had anything to do with the Dragons. Oh, I don't know what you're on about.
It probably won't be Sean Holly.
No.
But, yeah, let's just see who they bring in. But it's going to be
but not
a big year.
Kingsley Jones either.
Absolutely not. No. And I said this on the Wrap podcast. Anyone suggesting Kingsley Jones for a return to Ronnie Parade or for the Wales head coach job, they can jump into the sea, quite frankly. I'm not having that.
No.
I know he's a man of Gwent, and Kingsley didn't exactly do. He was fine as an assistant to Lynn Jones, but as a head coach, no, it didn't work. He wasn't very good. This is a guy who has not got a very good track record. He's a lovely guy by all accounts. He's just not a very good head coach. So the answer is no. I don't want Kingsley back. But,
no.
If you're listening, Kingsley, I hope you find work very, very soon. Just not at Ronnie Parade.
Yes, I don't think he is likely to be listening, but
no, just in case he was.
He is an Ebbw Vale boy, though, and I know lots of Ebbw Vale people do, so they might pass it on to him. Yeah, the fact he's from Ebbw Vale does not mean I want him to be coaching us.
He'd probably do a really good job for Ebbw Vale, though. He probably would, in fairness.
Well, yeah, Ebbw Vale doing a good job anyway. They don't need...
No, that's true. I like Danny Wilson. That ain't going to happen, though.
No,
that's not going to happen. Because he did coach at the Dragons as forwards coach years ago, but I'd have him as head coach. I think he's really good.
Hasn't Dai Young taken a job now as well?
Yeah, I can't remember. He was coaching, wasn't he? Coaching the college team. He's a director of rugby for one of the college teams. I can't remember, but yeah, he's taken it. Again, I would have had Dai Young. I like Dai Young. I like him, but we'll just have to see what the new year brings. I think we're going to wrap it up there.
I think that's a good idea.
Absolutely. 50th episode and a victory pod. It couldn't have gone any better, really, could it? And I was dreading recording this pod, but fair play. Well done to the Dragons. And it bodes well for the future. Seeing all that young talent today, I don't know. I'll probably feel doom and gloom and negative in the new year, but right now I feel
after we've lost both games of the derbies, we'll be
when we come back in the new year and we've ballsed it up again. But right now I feel better than I did last week, a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I feel like there is a little bit of hope, because that's all I need. I just need a little bit of hope. And I've struggled to see that from the performances the past few weeks, and for good reason. Like I said, I don't feel like I'm being harsh or negative, but it hasn't been good enough. It hasn't.
You need to see the real light. Like I said last week when I made the reference to the descent, you need to see the light, and you need to know it's real.
Absolutely. Your analogies crap me up, though. I mean, they shouldn't work, but they always make perfect sense. The chip shop, the descent, whatever you come out with, I'm like, where's he going with this? But it works every time you say it. I think yes.
I don't always know where I'm going with it, but
I don't think you do, deal. But it works. No. It always works. I don't know how you come
I commit to the piece.
There we go. Happy days. The Dragons have won. The Dragons have won. That's all we care about. Gavin, thank you for joining me as always.
No problem.
We would like to wish our lovely listeners a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be back sometime in the new year, not sure when. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra.
Bye.
That was The Dragon's Lair in association with the Riverside Sports Bar Newport. an American-style bar with a proper Welsh feel.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.